This is Channel 9 Eyewitness News at 6. Coverage you can count on.
COVID-19 is forcing Central Florida bars, hotels, and even malls to close. In the last 30 minutes, we found out Simon Property Group, the owner of the Florida Mall and the premium outlets in Orlando, is closing all of its properties at 7 o'clock tonight. Good evening. I'm Greg Wormett.
I'm Vanessa Eccles. We are continuing to practice social distancing here in the WFTV studios, which is why Greg and I aren't sitting together as we usually would. But right now, let's get right to the latest on the spread of the coronavirus. Earlier today, President Trump invoked the Defense Production Act, DPA, to help with shortages of face masks, ventilators, and other supplies. Here in Florida, the number of cases of coronavirus continues to rise and is now more than 300. Governor DeSantis just gave an update on the virus in Florida about 90 minutes ago, where he announced another death. Channel 9's Ashley Edlund listened in to the governor's update and joins us live in studio. A lot of information he gave, Ashley.
Vanessa, yeah, the governor said that man who passed away was in his 70s and was from Clay County. A lot of the focus of this news conference today was on testing. The governor says it has ramped up, but he wants more done. The governor says so far they've distributed 2,500 test kits, but he says the issue with that is just having the kit doesn't mean tests can be done. Healthcare workers need specific supplies to make it happen. He says right now the two most needed supplies are swabs to get samples from people and PPE, equipment medical professionals need to stay safe while they're conducting these tests.
A huge supply of swabs will let us ramp up the number of people that can be tested very, very quickly. So I've told Jared, do whatever you can to get the swabs, that and the PPE for the healthcare workers. So that stuff is in short supply.
Now, the governor also gave an update on mobile testing sites. He said the National Guard is trying to finish the Broward Memorial Healthcare mobile site today, and they're hoping to start it by the end of the week. He says they'll be looking specifically at healthcare workers, seniors 65 and over with symptoms, and people with underlying conditions. In the studio, Ashley Edlund, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Meanwhile, President Trump today said he does not think we are looking at a 20% unemployment rate, even though his Treasury Secretary said it's possible. We expected more details today about the possible $1,000 checks for Americans. That idea has been out there, but those details did not come. The president said who gets it, when, and just how much is still being worked out, but he says aid is on the way.
We had the best economy we've ever had, and then one day you have to close it down in order to defeat this enemy. But we're doing it, and we're doing it well. And I'll tell you, the American people have been incredible. For the most part, they've been really incredible.
If we went into a 20% unemployment rate, that would bring it close to the Great Depression.
We also just heard from Orange County and the city of Orlando leaders who say this is going to be an uncomfortable time for us for several weeks, possibly even several months. And we are already starting to see a major impact on our local economy, with several hotels set to close by the end of the week, and then the big announcement about the Florida Mall and the outlet malls that just came into our newsroom. Channel 9's Lauren SEABROOK now joins us live with the latest on this. Lauren, the cases in Orange County have gone up, and this is going to be a very difficult time for folks.
It really is, Greg, and because those cases have gone up, both of the mayors for Orange County and for the city of Orlando say they are having to make some very difficult decisions by the hour, really. They hope that people understand they are not taking these decisions lightly, but they are doing it to keep the community safe and healthy. We know right now here in Orange County, we now have 9 cases of COVID-19. That is up 3 cases from what we were telling you yesterday. One we know is a 60-year-old man who traveled to South Asia. They say he had symptoms for a few days and is in the hospital right now with pneumonia. Another is a 73-year-old man who is being treated in the hospital. They are still investigating where he contracted the virus. The last case is a 57-year-old man. They are also not sure where he got it, so there is a full investigation into both of them. County health officials do expect that number to grow as more testing becomes available here. Quite possibly the biggest news out of today's briefing is that Mayor Jerry Demings says the impact of COVID-19 is now forcing several hotels in our county to shut down. He says they just do not have enough people staying there to remain open, and he hopes to get financial help into the hands of those who will be impacted by next week.
When hotels close, there will potentially be thousands of hotel workers or service industry workers who will be displaced. In some cases, they may receive paid while they're out, and the majority of the cases, they're not going to be getting paid.
And those are the types of people who are turning to the United Way right now. The United Way tells us that they are seeing an unprecedented volume of calls right now. They've been telling us for the last couple of weeks that they would take calls for 211 for financial services, but also for people who just have general questions about COVID-19, and maybe they want to know if their symptoms are a reason to get tested. So they are taking all of those calls, but the volume is about triple of what they normally do in a day. So they say that people really need to be patient with them. They are there to provide you services, but if you call right now, they are seeing about an average of a 23-minute wait time. They are doing their best to help as many people as possible, but they say right now they've only received about $160,000 in donations, which they tell us is not near enough. So they hope that anyone who does have the ability to help and donate right now will do that so that we can get some money into the hands of the people in our community who really need it the most right now. Reporting live in Orange County, Lauren SEABROOK, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
And here's some good news. Orange County leaders today say we should have a drive-through testing center up and running in Orange County in the next 48 hours. Earlier today, Sky Witness 9 flew over the Orange County Convention Center where we saw tents being set up in the parking lot. Orange County leaders said another testing site will be opening up in East Orange County, but it will only be for people who qualify.
Some Orange County teachers are concerned they were told to report to work at schools Monday. The teachers union says it's prepared to file a lawsuit as soon as tomorrow if the district doesn't change course. The union president said teachers are willing to work from home but are concerned about their health if they have to show up at schools.
I want to be really clear that CTA does not support teachers going in at all, unless it's on a voluntary basis, if they want to pick up something from their classroom maybe.
There's been no decision made on whether it's every day next week or just on Monday. So for now, we're going to move forward with our plan.
The district says teachers have to show up to prepare to teach students remotely. Students will not return to campus until April at the earliest. Travel is down 35 to 40% at Orlando International Airport. And while the airport says it has enough cash to keep things running for the rest of the year, that is little comfort to the workers who rely on OIA. Channel 9's Christopher Heath reports the airport is already looking at deep cuts.
The airport runs the Hyatt Hotel, and right now furloughs have been discussed for some of the hotel employees. Meanwhile, there are other employees that work at the airport. They don't work for the airport, and tonight they are worried that as airlines and airports discuss bailouts, they will be left out. In D.C., the major airlines are pushing for a bailout, while in Orlando,
showing up to the airport, I feel scared. I don't know what could happen.
The workers who staff the bars, restaurants, and kiosks that line the terminals at OIA don't have a lobby, and many don't have a way to pay the bills if their job is reduced.
We are still on the hook to pay rent, and we need to be able to come back to work quickly after the crisis has passed.
Right now, the airport board is working with its vendors and the airlines to chart a path forward. But the reality is 54 flights were canceled on Wednesday. People aren't flying.
We are, in point of fact, looking at whether or not we need all the food and beverage and merchandise outlets open because we're looking at lower volume.
The airport, along with Florida's other major airports, is eyeing $10 billion in federal aid. The airlines are also pushing for their own bailout. If the money comes and how it would be distributed is unclear. Meanwhile, hourly workers want to make sure they're not forgotten.
The airport workers need to be protected before profits.
The airport is hopeful that things will return to normal by about mid-July. Meanwhile, empty hotel rooms don't make any money and empty planes don't make any money. The question going forward is who will pay and who will get paid. Reporting from Orlando, Christopher Heath, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Across Volusia County, we're seeing a lot of people stepping up and helping out each other during this time of need. Channel 9 Volusia County reporter Mike Springer talked to some of those folks today who are trying to make a difference. He joins us live from Volusia County. And Mike, a lot of people told you they are thankful to see others stepping up now.
That's right. I mean, just up the street from where I'm standing now in Holly Hill, one of the distilleries there is giving away free hand sanitizer. A local grocery store here is opening up a few hours earlier just for senior citizens, and people say this is all needed at a time like now. The alcohol at Copper Bottom Craft Distillery is no longer being used to just make spirits. It's now becoming the key ingredient to make hand sanitizer lotion.
It wasn't something I was planning on, And we've had a lot of people like, look, we've been trying, I've got kids, I can't find it anywhere.
The Holly Hill Distillery is asking people to bring 4-ounce bottles or smaller, and it will fill it up at no charge. Owner Jeremy Craig tells me they've been flooded with calls and people coming in and needing it. Some are even from doctors' offices and first responders. Many say they appreciate it.
I'm sure that their own private business is going to be suffering during this time. So for them to be able to reach out to the community to help us, I don't know, I think that everyone should be doing what they can to help each other. So kudos to them.
Perrine's Produce says it's opening its Ormond Beach and Port Orange locations an hour early just for senior citizens.
I am 65 and I do have asthma. I have a child I have to protect. So yes, for people like me, that's a very kind thing to do. Not everybody is kind right now.
Parking spaces will be used for curbside pickup into land so that people can still buy things while limiting the crowds downtown.
I mean, nobody wants to see America's Main Street fall apart overnight, and without the help from the city and each other, the rest of the community, that's exactly what will happen.
And tonight, that distillery tells me it's in need of table sugar as well as bottles in order to keep that supply of sanitizer going. Reporting live in Volusia County, Mike Springer, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Now, with schools closed and many businesses shutting down, we know that many of you are working from home. We want to see how you're spending your days. You can submit your pictures and videos on our website. The address there is on your screen. We also know you have plenty of questions about the coronavirus pandemic, so we're teaming up with a panel of experts from Advent Health to help separate fact from fiction. Join us live. It's tonight at 8 o'clock on TV 27 and on Facebook Live. Join us for Coronavirus Pandemic, your questions answered.